And we're on that ish. We are plugged in. And I'm Flavius Maximus. Issue X is the holder of controversy and also the disher out of knowledge combined with controversy and an interesting perspective. That's not always what you think it's going to be.
Flavius Maximus is the always ever insightful, almost as provocative as me, but very provocative and insightful. You know, this is something that we haven't been doing that I think we should do. And that is encouraging people to either like or unlike and subscribe to the page.
Definitely. Hit that like button immediately.
Yep.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend and grow with us.
You can hit the unlike too. I'm good with all of that. Just as long as you're hitting something.
Okay. And hit that subscribe and check out all the videos, man. We got we got games, we got trivia, we have entertainment talk, and we have a lot of political talk, and we have fun. And we have it from different perspectives.
Sometimes we just go on about nothing.
Yep.
And that's good too.
Do that too.
So what do we got for today? There are a couple of things that we had been talking about throughout this week, right?
Yeah.
We talked about Dr. Emmanuel.
That's right.
We talked about Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Donald Trump's "it is what it is" statement in regards to COVID deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of stuff has been going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely three great ones to start with.
Well, I think a fun one is, speculating on what type of debate Donald Trump and Joe Biden can have. Like, what's that atmosphere going to be like?
That's a very interesting one. I think there's a lot of one-upmanship. They're trying to one-up each other on like the zingers and the one-liners. They get in there because that's what the people want, right? The people want a show. There's not necessarily, you're not going to get some kind of great policy from Donald Trump. And if you get some great policy from Joe Biden, it's probably not going to balance the zingers that you're getting from Trump, right? So it's probably going to be a little bit of a WWF style battle of zingers where they're trying to play each other.
So do you think Joe Biden can hang with, with Donald Trump's charisma? Like, do you think he can be as charismatic?
Difficult. That's difficult. I think the Biden that hangs with Trump is the Biden that says some off-the-wall type of stuff, right? So it's kind of like, damn if he does, damn if he doesn't. Because if he comes full Biden, then there's going to be a lot of crazy quotes in there that people are going to come at him for. But if he tries to tone it down or tries to be very presidential, you're not really playing in that. You're not really playing the same game as your opponent is. Right?
So I think if he approaches it as a gentleman, as like gentleman Joe Biden, he loses that debate.
Right.
Because, Donald Trump is someone who can be unsettled.
Okay.
Right? Like when put under the grill, so to speak, when grilled with questioning, he
walks away sometimes.
Yeah. Loses his cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
I mean? That's right. He can be unsettled. That's a good point. And that's how you got to play it, right? You can't do that gentlemanly policy wonk type of stuff with him. His base is going to eat up, the wild talk and the one-upmanship style type of debate, right? And they're going to insist that he won. I mean, they're always going to insist that he won.
Well, it's interesting because, they say in, the field of law that the person who tells the best story usually wins.
Oh yeah,
Now,
politics is all about story. Yep.
right. So Donald Trump really believes he's done more for Black or marginalized people than anyone else, any other president before him. Like he really believes that. And if he
After, I,
argues that passionately
mhm.
against Joe Biden,
Yeah.
it could be to Joe Biden's disadvantage.
Well, okay. So there's a few things to unpack there, right? Uh, so I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Hmm.
I don't pretend to be, but there's some consensus that we're dealing with a person who exhibits signs of not just megalomania. What's the word I'm looking for? When you
Megalomania, I
not
guess tomato, tomato.
exactly. He exhibits signs of someone who thinks so highly of himself that it's not realistic. There's a psychological term for that we hear thrown around all the time. I'm just not thinking of it. Um, but there's something wrong with him. So I mean, whether it's a lie or whether he believes in it, it's kind of moot. It's kind of the same thing, right? And he's not going to come with facts. He might come with some anecdotes. He might talk about the couple of things he did uh, when Kanye or his wife came and blow that up and make people say, "Oh yeah, he did those things." But he's not going to go back to back with a laundry list that's going to be as long as Joe's.
Hmm.
He just can't do that. But that doesn't matter, especially in a debate. It doesn't matter. He's he just has
It's,
to sell it, and
it's
he's a great salesman.
especially when we have a "What have you done for me lately" society.
Yeah, yeah, and especially you can't do a laundry list and make it sound interesting unless you're that charismatic, you know. So
Right.
that's that.
Joe would get into like a boring diatribe or a very boring speech outlining, which I already see Joe doing. I mean, that's kind of what he tried to do on when he was interviewed by Charlemagne, right?
Oh, okay.
He kind of tried to rely on his track record and
Hmm.
you know, and it was just when I was practicing law and I had the opportunity to practice a certain type of law. However, I recognized that there was a lack of representation for minorities, so I chose to go be with you know these minority practitioners of law and represent these people, and I didn't have to do that. And
Hmm.
that's kind of what he was really. And now he's talking to a Black man. I can imagine what it's going to sound like when he's talking to a white man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Joe, we're not asking you for the campfire tale.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not.
Make it plain and make it current. You know,
Right,
if you
right,
can.
right. Absolutely. Because, I think that Donald Trump in a debate, and without knowing anything more than what I do know, which isn't much, I think that Donald Trump has an advantage if it comes to just charisma.
Just charisma. So, I mean, if I were Joe and I were using his badass charisma and his foot and mouth disease and just it's all on the table, I can say what I want to. I'd be like, look, Donald, the difference between me and you is I've forged a lot of real relationships in the Black community. They know me, they love me, they trust me. I've done lots of projects, worked on lots of educational programs. I've seen a lot of people through, rough times to great times, and they know me and love me. The difference is with you, it's just the celebrity crush. You haven't done anything real for the community except a few things you did with Kanye, another celebrity, to make it look good. But when you dig deeper, you said a lot of things against uh, Black and brown communities, and you haven't done much. As a matter of fact, where we are with our economy has really hurt Black and brown communities as a whole. And the only folks that can really say you've done anything for them are Black and brown communities that were doing well already, who are now doing, even better at the higher end. So my track record speaks volumes. Yours, you're just a shit salesman who's good at selling your shit, and people know you from The Apprentice. People love celebrity, and that's the only reason you're even up here. I did the hard work for years. I know what I'm doing. I've been a senator, and I've been doing this work for years and years. It's not easy work. It takes a certain mind to do it, and you're just out of your element. You're just up here. You're a great salesman, but that's not what America needs right now. We had 4 years of that. Now it's time to get serious again, get down to business, and fix the economy, fix the environment, and start building towards equality in this country. And that starts with Black folks, continues with women, the LGBT community, and all the folks that you're offending just by being who you are. Who is a very immature person, not a great example for the kids at all. And I never want kids to look at another leader like this again and think this is what we should aspire to be. We don't treat each other that way in this country, amongst adults, amongst children. You've been a horrible example.
So you've just made Joe Biden's argument.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Now let's hope that smarter people than us give him such a good argument,
or even much better.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, or even better arguments.
Yeah,
right.
Even much better.
So, do you actually think that this debate is going to go down? And that's like the weird question, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. I gotta admit, I haven't really been in tune. I mean, here's the thing, right? If the people really want it, then I suppose you give it to them. But on the other hand, if Joe's people think it's going to be a disaster and it's going to screw him, then I'm sure they'll use any excuse to not do it.
It's kind of unprecedented.
Yeah, no pun intended. We live in unprecedented times, but we have the technology. They could definitely do it, right? They could do a live IG. They could have people sending.
I could see Donald Trump
sending questions in, and like they could really do it up good. We have the technology.
I could see Donald Trump getting mad and leaving the Zoom.
We have the technology. They could do it up. They could really do it up. And everyone could attend the Zoom, or however they want to do it, Facebook it live or whatever. They could have a certain amount of people who could actually, comment in with questions, and the other people are just watching. They could do it. They could do it very safely. They could totally do it. What you're going to want to see is they're going to have to prep these folks to know how to use the technology and to not look like old, Uncle Eddie or Uncle Sam or whatever, trying to mess with the technology.
For all intents and purposes, they should just have to sit there and have a conversation.
Like 6 feet apart?
No, on Zoom.
Oh, on Zoom. I see.
If they do it on Zoom, it should just be about, listen, we got everything set up. Take a seat. We'll have a moderator come on Zoom.
Yeah.
Someone who, can control the Zoom. I'm going to mute such and such while you speak.
Right.
I'm going to mute such and such while you speak. It actually could go, obviously without the audience, it could actually go a lot better because of the moderator's ability to mute.
That's an interesting question, because on the one hand, you want to You do want to regulate it well so that it goes well and so that it's a fair fight and so that we get to hear both sides. But there's got to be a little spice in there too. We've got to also see like, oh, this
We need the
person.
popcorn moments.
We need the popcorn moments, and we need people to reveal who they are. Oh, this person has to always be told your time is up. Oh, this person's more respectful. Oh, this person goes over but
Hmm.
ends it 30 seconds over every time. Oh, this person's been going minutes over their time. You know, we need to
This
give a
is a
little bit of
pay-per-view.
leeway.
This debate has pay-per-view quality potential.
For better
And
or
I'm
for
serious.
worse. For better or for worse, because the
You
more
know,
the more entertaining it is, the less information we're getting. But of course, we already know one side is kind of low information anyway.
well, I feel like you know, and in more than in any other, debate we've had in our history that I've been alive for, I feel like this is like the one that is the most, like it's a parody.
It's going to be the most
Like
watch.
it
It could
has
be
a
the most watched.
potential it has the potential to come off as a parody. Like it feels like a parody. Like when you think of Joe Biden and Donald Trump debating, it's like, you know, it's hard to take it seriously. It's hard to really, digest that this is where we are,
Yeah.
as a country, as a nation, that, we're literally questioning the type of debate that can be had between two candidates
They're both
because of who
effective
the two
liars.
candidates are.
They're both effective liars too. You know,
Yeah, and
they
they
can both
both
lie
kind
with
of,
a very straight face and maybe
you know,
even believe their own lies a little bit.
they both have a penchant for saying things that are absurd.
Yeah, one way more absurd than the other, though. I think one is just maybe kind of hyperbolic and like, did you say that, Joe? And the other is just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but Joe's hyperbole, excuse me, is absurd.
No, like I said, I agree. I just think they're on different levels. I just think one is like, if you're black, you shouldn't think of voting for anyone else. That's absurd to say. And the other is like, you know, shithole countries and just like totally absurd stuff uh, that we've never heard before. There's different levels.
I wouldn't argue that there's different levels. I certainly think there are different extremes. Is where I tend to, you know, lie on that. I think that there are different extremes, not necessarily different levels, but I'm not going to argue that there
Yeah.
aren't different levels because it's about perspective. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I appreciate that perspective. So,
Yeah.
I want to kind of segue there. To something else that I think is a interesting topic is, so it came up earlier in the week in conversation based upon a previous show that we had, right? I'd been talking to some people who watched one of our previous shows and it sparked a dialogue between them, which
Okay.
yay us, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's what we want to do. Mhm.
yeah, definitely. So, I thought this would be an interesting, discussion. How do we feel about creators and their IPs or creative properties versus the character of that creator? Like, you know, J.K. Rowling versus Harry Potter, or like we mentioned in the show, Orson Scott Card versus Ender's Game, Ender's Shadow. The things that these creators put out, even though the viewpoints of the creators may be reprehensible, or in some cases, the actions of said creator may be reprehensible. Like, let's
I
talk about
mean,
that. Like,
everyone has their own. You know, every individual uh, has their own line. I'm sure.
mhm.
I think for most people, uh, we we trot out a few examples and we forget the myriad of other examples, and
Because
for
we like that particular.
or that we just don't even know, right?
Like, I'll give you an example, right?
Okay.
I never supported R. Kelly because I just was never a fan of his music.
Okay.
So it was easy for me to not support anything that he produced after what came out about him came out.
Okay. Early,
I
like
did
the
support,
like way back when it
yeah,
came out, or the
yeah,
latest round
no,
that
way
finally did
back,
him in. Okay.
way back.
Okay.
I never supported R. Kelly. So once I believed that R. Kelly was guilty of what he was being accused of, I
Yeah.
just no longer contributed to. I didn't want to put money in his pocket because I felt like his wealth and fame directly allowed him. It was the reason why he was able to put young women in the position that he put them in.
Right.
Like if he was just, Robert Kelly who worked at McDonald's, I don't even think we're having this discussion.
Okay.
Well, maybe we are, but you know what I mean? I don't think that he
Less
could have.
likely. Less likely.
Yes, it's just less likely. I'll give you another example. CeeLo Green. Love
Yeah.
his
You talked about it before. Yeah.
love his music. However, it sucks to me. For me personally, I feel some type of way singing Crazy, and I love the song. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And it's like, well, you drugged someone and raped them. It's a hurdle that I just can't get over.
Yeah.
So something in me, and I guess it's just case by case, because something in me just, I loved, the song F You. I like CeeLo Green. I like
Hmm.
his music. Something in me, like I don't play those songs anymore.
Right.
I just don't play them anymore. But on the same token, I play Michael Jackson.
And you believe he's guilty as well?
No, but enough people do.
Okay.
So
Well, if
that's
you're
why I thought bringing up Michael Jackson was relevant, only because enough people do that at the very least the conversation is relevant. It's definitely worth looking at.
I
I,
see.
I read Orson Scott Card.
Okay.
I don't read all of his books. I'm not going out to buy all of his books. I'll always
What
read
does he
Ender's Game
has?
and Ender's
What
Shadow.
does he have? Racist stuff?
Yeah, he's just got some extreme conservative views. And when I mean extreme, I don't mean far right in the sense that I've said this to you before.
Yeah.
When I speak of extreme, I usually mean all the way to one side or all the way to the other. In this case, I mean extreme by belief, like his beliefs are extreme.
Okay.
So he said some things, he spoke out on some positions that many people find reprehensible, and I understand. I
Okay.
can't quote them for you off the top of my head because I haven't read about them in some years. I
What
just know
group?
it's
What
been,
group is? What group is being targeted?
you know what? I'd have to actually research it again because it's been some years. When I say years, years, we're talking 20 plus years
Okay.
that, people have kind of turned against Orson Scott Card.
Okay.
20 plus years. For a long time, it wasn't something I even thought about with it. Like, I don't buy his stuff. He put out a couple books that I was interested in, but I just didn't buy it. However, I own Ender's Game. I own Ender's Shadow. I still read those books. I still recommend those books. So this is the reason why I brought this up, because, some people draw a hard line, and I guess it's based upon their personal prejudices or preferences, right?
Hmm.
Some people, just are like, all right, well, this person said this or did this, so I'm done with them.
Right.
I don't want to put any money in their pockets to contribute to their, spreading this message.
Right.
Some people are always going to be fans of Harry Potter.
Okay.
So my question is, like, is it okay to draw a line?
I mean,
Is it
listen.
okay to support the what?
Everyone has their own personal. This is personal. Like, there's no. I don't believe in a group thing. Like
Right. I don't
you
either.
do what you think you should do. If you don't want to like, if you don't want your money
I'm going
going to
dark for a second,
support,
but I'm still here.
okay, you don't want your money going to support someone or something, then don't do it. That's like
So
totally up to you.
let me speak on what you said about groupthink, because while you're right, in today's society, everybody has a moral high ground. That's the position that everybody comes from. So you're always under attack.
Uh-huh.
And at some level, I mean, we're nothing and nobody, but if we were, we'd be under attack at risk of being canceled. That's people's political position. It's not just their politics, it's that they put their politics. I often say, and I've said as much, people be on the moral high ground like it's a sniper point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really know what we can do about that unless there is a movement in society to re-examine the way that we that these things play out. I mean, what happens is like if you have a platform and you invite a guest on that has done some egregious things, then yeah, if people have canceled the person, then they might not want to watch your show or uh, might want to cancel you. I mean, that's at the very least, people might boycott you or encourage you, like, no, don't have, um, Russell Simmons on your show, or don't have this person on your show. I mean, but
Russell
I don't.
kind of canceled himself.
Well, there were also instances where people wanted him on their show, and it was made known to them, don't have him on your
Well, I
show.
mean, he canceled himself by fleeing the country.
Oh, I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, he's not in America. He's in an asylum country and he's never coming back.
Oh, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, he's been there for a few years now since the allegations came out.
Okay.
Yep, he's not in America. He would have been brought up on charges.
Okay. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, he's not coming back here. He's in an asylum country. They can't go get him. He can't be extradited. He's got money. He's not coming back.
Okay. So I guess when Revolt TV wanted to interview him, they must have been trying to do it remotely then. Of course, this was a few years ago, but I still assume they must have been trying to do it remotely, but they ended up not doing it.
You know, that's interesting. We could do a whole show on, Russell Simmons or people with money who have certain allegations against them that can use their money. I mean, it's happened before in our lifetime. We were very young, and I can't think of his name off the bat, but there's a very famous Hollywood producer who was involved with a young girl, and he just left and went back to his country.
Oh,
And I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now.
yeah, very
People
famous.
people
Very
bring him
famous.
up all the time.
No, a director. A very
Yeah,
famous
yep,
director.
yep. People bring him up all the time. I want to say like Roman Polanski. Forgive
Yes.
me if
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
that's him.
okay.
That's him.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Woody Allen. I mean, with today's culture, right? Today, if Prince was still alive, we'd be talking about Prince.
What did Prince do?
I mean, he arguably groomed Aaliyah. Like the story is he went to her parents when she was 14.
No, that was R. Kelly.
Yeah, I'm sorry, R. Kelly.
Yeah, well, R. Kelly's already done.
You're right, R. Kelly. What am I saying here? Thanks for the correction. Also,
Yeah,
I
no,
feel like our show could also be called underline culture canceled.
Hmm.
On some level, sometimes I feel like that. We've been kosher today, but I think sometimes we certainly get into territory that, you know, you used the word before, controversial. So just to bring it back on topic, because that's kind of what we're doing just by talking about, you know, where we draw the line with creators and creativity. We're kind of talking about cancel culture. Well, not kind of, we are talking about cancel culture. We're just talking about an aspect of cancel culture, but we're talking about cancel culture. Like J.K. Rowling's, is she really canceled? And how does cancel culture really, really, really work when the things that people create are universally loved, universally appreciated? Is Harry Potter going to stop making money?
Well, I mean, people are individuals, right? So some people are just disappointed. Some people are disappointed enough to cancel her. Uh, some people don't care. I mean, there's people fall on different points of the spectrum. You know, some people might be hopeful that maybe she can like be turned around. Um, you know, there's people fall on different points of the spectrum.
Well, I have this to say, and this may be controversial. Sorry, not sorry to anybody out there that may feel some type of way. I did not, nor could I cancel Hulk Hogan.
Or what did he use the N word?
Oh yeah, a video surfaced, right? He sued and won a lot of money. What happened was, this is an interesting story. So what happened was, he was asked to sleep with a friend of one of his friend's wife by his friend, and his friend recorded it. Hulk Hogan didn't know he was being recorded. So he sleeps with this woman, it's recorded, and he has a conversation where he uses the N-word several times in regards to, so his daughter was dating this black guy who was in hip hop, like in gangster rap. His daughter was trying to get a music career off the ground. And Hulk Hogan was very weary of this guy. And, you know, he knew that the guy was necessary for her music career, the whole nine, but he was very, very weary of this guy. And, you know, he used the N word several times. And the context that he used it in is inexcusable. But, and I say but because while I don't agree, I want to restate that it is
Oh,
inexcusable.
sorry, I gotta grab my food. Hold on.